The COVID-19 pandemic has divided the era into pre and post pandemic lives. Spaces and activity patterns have started to rethink about the requirements. This rethinking have been taken to refine the health structure a lot. When more investments and actions have been put into this cause and cases still increase, many questions that would arise in the community will be like, are we going to stay locked down forever? Are we going to stay inside in fear of the pandemic? Should we think about places that would act strongly during the pandemic, etc.? And the most striking questions will go like, are the hospitals safe to visit? Are hospitals the place where one could likely get affected? My thesis project aims to give an answer to these critical questions, to create a pandemic resilient childcare hospital where children are getting more focused, where their physical and mental conditions are being looked into. The well patients, the vaccinations, the checkup operations, regular acute disease children patients were confused what to do, and cases have been reported about the denial of care to regular patients. The following data shows the bed requirements and available beds in Trivandrum, the capital city where my design comes up. The density maps the reachable possibilities from districts due to NH, and statistics of birth rate shows the requirement of a childcare hospital within the site. During the behavior of the project, I worked on a Rainbow Children Hospital, the major case study, to learn about the new facilities, the SIT hospital for the social improvements and working, and literature case studies for the designs and concepts. Coming to the Rainbow Children Hospital, which is located in Banjara Hills, Hyderabad, the Rainbow Children Hospital with a built area of 16,000 square feet runs with 70 plus doctors, 30 plus nurses, and 100 plus service staffs. The location of site is within the lower population density are in Hyderabad, creating a different environment and healing nature to children care away from busy, noisy zones. The figure shows the easy accessibility due to the main road abutting the site that directly connects the NH. The nearby metro stations and hospitals and clinics helps in easy accessibility and fast referrals with the other care centers if needed. The major wind direction from the west is clearly gained by the building due to the open spaces on the west as seen from the figure ground map. The green areas to the west and east acts as viewpoints from site. The built use map indicates the busy roads and traffic that could build up within the area due to the presence of assembly and commercial spaces. The building is designed as three zones: the child care, common requirements, the maternal care. The maternal care receives well patients and thus is separated from other busy areas where disease could likely spread. The building orientation is such that it receives west winds for IP beds provided on upper floors, and the placement of OP clinics or the areas filled with infected patients are likely zoned away from the wind on lower floors where wind gain could be less due to the presence of nearby buildings. The site plan indicates the three major entrances to the site. There is also a sub-road about 20 meters below the main road level for service vehicles. The separate ambulance entries allow quick transport of patient to emergency entry, which is a separate entry away from the other three entries into the site to avoid contact with other vehicles and prevent the other visiting patients from critical cares which urgently require medical care. VIP private rooms IP beds are zoned towards east direction where sunlight is received. However, the free facades used for hiding the service lines limits the sunlight entry and wind entries at certain locations. The west entry is blocked by the nearby building, creating shade to the main entry points, that is the OP and the maternal. User groups and patient categorization are shown here. The physicians are the full-time doctors managing the casualty. There are clinical and non-clinical staffs where doctors, nurses, pharmacists, etc. comes under the clinical staff category, while the cleaners, office managers, biomedical officers, securities, etc. comes under the non-clinical category. The ground floor area has the OP and the place from where distribution to the other areas happen, and most densely used floor. The entrance, lobbies, pharmacy, enquiry are zoned at the entry level from where each one gets separated. The entrance is also adjoined with play area near to the main lobby and waiting area. The separate receptions for each department are placed linearly connected with the main corridor, helps the people to understand their destination. The separate receptions also help in controlling and regulating the activities within each zones. The people moving in through the main entry includes well patients, that is for vaccinations, baby checkups, etc. Then the patients with viral disease, patients with acute care, who all uses the same entrances, the same corridors and the same waiting areas, which can lead to viral spread. And this has caused the complete shutdown of the hospital during the pandemic after many were tested positive, including the staff. The circulation path shows the movement of all users within the building, and we can see all the user groups uses the same major corridors. The proximity chart shows the nearby and related facilities. The service rooms are shown towards the main corridor with lifts aligned along them, creating the corridors a congestion space where waiting for going to different floors, cleaning, services, managing, and the main traffic of patient occurs. The placement of stairs towards the corridors and service areas and lifts to the peripheries could have prevented this congestion. The corridor spaces, clinics, and waiting areas have created playful paintings and floorings for depicting a children's behavior. The imaging units have been separated as two clusters: X-rays, CT scans, mainly controlled by radiologists, and the other related to the neurologist, shown towards his consultation rooms. The typical consultation room includes the observation bed, wash and meeting areas. The waiting lobby adjoined with play areas where parents along always have to stand by these areas to look after their children. The emergency entry, separated by levels on the lower ground level, is designed to accurately to the patient needs. The entry is adjoined with the main lobby, from where the bystanders move to enquiry or waiting areas, and the patients taken into the triage units, where they are classified based on their seriousness. The emergency areas are completely zoned in this area with workstations, doctor rooms, and lifts to move care units like ICU, ventilators, and OTs. The circulation shows the control of people entering emergency from the stair itself by providing waiting spaces, enquiries, and triage units adjoined with it. The triage unit separates the patient as red, blue, and yellow, who require separate procedures as shown in the diagram. The movement of stretchers and towards lifts for emergency patients are through separate areas from the main corridor for avoiding contact with the other patient traffic. Labs, blood banks, and cafes are zoned away from the emergency areas with separate vertical connectivity connecting them with each floor to create a separate functional space. The OTs are on the top floor, which comprises of OT rooms, post and pre-OT rooms, changing and discussion rooms for doctors and surgeons, and toilets. Dumb waiters and surgical pharmacies are also adjoined with the OTs. The vertical lifts and stairs always lands in the waiting or lobby of each section to create privacy within each space. VIP rooms are also placed on the top floor, where entry for normal people are not encouraged due to the sterile activities happening in the floor. The administrative areas are shown towards the north side in the second and lower ground floor for easy communications and management. The service or the backbone of the building is depicted in the section, where the services are being shown towards the basement and the functional part is stacked above. There are bed lifts, standard lifts, service lifts, and dumb waiters that helps in transferring things and patients by categorization. Bed lifts and standard lifts near the entry connects the major CSSD and dirty linen storage at bottom and the intensive care units. This lift is also used by the people coming in, as they are zoned first, disturbing the travel and movement of patients. The service lifts zoned towards the end connects the offices downstairs, which could have been connected with the CSSD and the laundries. The service movement within the basement too, with CSSD, laundry and housekeeping are shown in figure. The zoning of housekeeping office near the cleaning department helps in easy management. The below basement floors are accessible by outside technicians. The zoning of plumbing, electrical and gaseous units needs the help of outside service agents, which are zoned towards the bottom floors, creating a separate space from others and separate entry to basement. Literature case study on Nelson Mandela Children's Hospital was used to learn about the built and unbuilt relation that provides recreational spaces for children and patients. The hospital is located in South Africa with an area of 29,900 square meters with a capacity of 200 plus patient beds with 150 doctors and 450 nurses. The hospital is located within an educational campus within a slopey site. The design of the building is such that the OP are placed on the ground, the emergency care on the bottom, and service on the basements. The zigzag pattern with niches created between the building floor retains wind and provides shade. These spaces have been used as garden spaces that provide leisure spaces to its visitors. The alignment of the building and provision of courtyard spaces between lights up the spaces and corridors, enriching mental health of the patients. The hospital is divided into each wing with different activities. This helps the people to move to the desired cluster easily. The site topography shows the views that could be captured from the building. The violet colored area shows the circulation spaces or the corridors which are well lighted and accommodated with the views from courtyards and terraces.
The Corona Treatment Center located in Berlin shows the quick makeup of an auditorium to the COVID isolation wards. The spaces required and their categorizations have been shown in the figures. The comparative analysis teaches about the change in spaces required as per the conditions.
The site is located near the national highway, providing easy and fast connectivity from other hospitals in the regional context as well as district. The site is easily accessed from Toronto International Airport, that is within 10-kilometer radius. The fire stations and police stations are also near proximity with 10-kilometer radius. The area is filled with natural beauties like the coconut palms, streams, agricultural lands, etc., and availability of nearby apartments, villas, and easy accessibility from the NH contributes to medical tourism and makes the site feasible. Easy connecting links with the hospitals of other districts because of NH as the primary linkage to the site. The site also provides mental support for isolation spaces with lush green surroundings. The location of the site is within the context of nearby open green spaces which offers views from the site from a considerable height. The nearby building heights are to be considered for the course. The alternate routes will help in separating normal and emergency behavior and helps in faster reachability without any hindrance. The site location near to NH makes the site for easy reachability and allows faster emergencies to access the site easily. Road widening can connect the emergency vehicles from NH to the hospital site. This creates a separate path for ambulances from the other roads that passes through the residential areas, avoiding sound and traffic disturbance, and thus facilitating both the emergency patients and the neighboring residential community. The area has tropical humid climate, but the wind within the macro context reduces the level of overall humidity. Precipitation is received by almost 6 to 8 months every year, and design construction should be such that it provides spaces considering the rain and wind direction that carries the rain along with that. From the topography map, we could analyze that the center of the site can become a catchment area during rainfall. The edge condition of the site, however, favors the site from being flooded. The roads on three sites can be treated drains for sewer collections, preventing their entry to site, and the stream to the west collects the water from the opposite floor as well as from us. Possibility of overflowing of the stream during heavy rains is high, and thus creation of barrier near the stream edge would be appropriate. As the central portion is highly exposed to the sun, the water evaporates quickly, while the shaded areas to the east and west have the most stormwater percolation into the ground. The central collection of stormwater needs to be given path to drain the stream for a better drainage pattern. The areas to the west and east could be used for rainwater collection and digging wells or for the construction of sumps. The understandings from case studies for a children's hospital showed me the building should attract the children from its entry points by giving the positive lively functions on the outside. The circulation path should be clear for the vehicles entering the site. The vehicular movements should be designed carefully by considering the playful movements of children. The gathering spaces and the common usage spaces contributes to the pandemic spread. Thus, design should be such that the users within spaces are controlled. The staffs and visitor movement should be defined as the chance of shutting down a hospital. As we had seen in the past years, the user groups have to be considered like the well patients, the ill patients, the regular patients, and the neonatal babies. The ideas that striked were to create a covering within a cover where the outer core were used for the regular movements and the interior core that protected the staffs. The second point was to create a unilinear movement pattern for users that limited gathering points. The movement control of children were mostly looked into. The irregular and uncontrolled movement makes them an agent of viral transfer. Hence, their areas of interest like the play areas to be bounded and they had to be kept within the specified places with their parents. These thoughts led me to create the concept of neighborhood modules As the name says, the module acts as a neighborhood that solves their problem within their space. These modules were created by incorporating the care, the observation, the test rooms and collection areas within a particular module, controlled by the consultant doctor within the module. The waiting areas and play areas are brought inside these cubicles, which limits the children movement. The children within these cubicles are separated from the outside movement and crowd, contributing to their mental health. The patient could directly leave the building once they exit from these modules incorporated with all functions. This limits the movement of going around to find spaces that offers different roles. The modules are kinetic modules that can change its usage as per the needs. The spaces within the module can be resized, closed for fumigations without affecting other functions. During surge, these modules could completely be used for accommodating the increase in patients by rearranging the partitions. The rearrangement of modules at different spaces during different times are showed within the figure. This helps in creating flexible spaces within the building that could serve the crowd accordingly. These protective coverings gives the project its name El Capullo, that means cocoon in Spanish, that acts as a protective cover within which the young ones are taken care, protected from the outside environment. The site zoning and layout shows that the entry point have been designed so as to give the clear field of vision to the whole main building. The user easily identifies the emergency and the OP/IP wing. The COVID or the isolation ward is separated from the direct field of view. Its entry is separated by level differences from the main block. The geometrical patterns and colors of the facade attracts the children. The building is kept away and buffered from residential areas by 25 to 30 meters. The blocks are placed such that it captures the most views and major winds from the northwest direction. The entrances, the play areas and parking towards north offers shade. The COVID block in the south also offers shade to the southern part of the main buildings and its courtyards. The vertical zoning of the building shows the services provided to the basements, the care rooms placed at heights that gives the best views separated from the normal OP patients. The operation theaters on top floor minimizes the users accessing there, keeping it sterile and safe. The security rooms are placed at the entry and exit points. The same location makes it easier for the control. The electrical room with VCBs at the front which the KCB line connects makes the outside electricians easily access them without disturbing the hospital circulation. The heavy vehicular circulations are designed and zoned away from the entry and exits where the children are in movement, providing them safety. The number 7 car parking areas are used by visitors and OP patients after they drop the patients at the number 1 and number 2 entry points, which are the outpatient and the main entry. Number 3 is the ambulance bay from where the patients tested positive are being taken to the isolation ward in ambulance. Number 8 is a landscaped garden area that creates a buffer for children from accessing the vehicular traffic area. The number 6 is the OP exit porch, shown from the usual traffic and entrances, making it easy for public vehicle transportations. The different entry and exit points are designed so as to create the unilinear flow. The service entrances are for doctors and service vehicles who directly moves to the basement that has its entry point at point number 9. The points 4 and 5 are the emergency entrances which could directly be seen from the entry point that helps the emergency vehicles to move swiftly. Point 10 is the entry to the isolation ward which is kept away from the main block. The models shows the character of the entry points and the open spaces and points of gathering during fire. The diagrams shows the movement of vehicles within the site, the building blocks and the relation with open spaces. The longitudinal section shows the isolation ward separated by the level difference. The basement at -4.2 meters are having the canteen, the CSSD areas, the staff rooms, ambulance parking, laundry, etc. The second basement at level -8.45 has the gas plant, the pump room, the fire rooms, etc. The incinerators are zoned to the terrace area. The inpatient beds are zoned towards the top floors. The lateral section describes the spaces through the outpatient department and the entry levels. The special topic is to create healing architectural spaces, for which I have introduced green pockets, roof gardens where children and parents could interact, the intermediate courtyards, etc. The healing spaces uplifts the mindsets of the children and provides a feeling of care to the parents. The use of colors inside and outside the building, the spacious and vast lounges and waiting halls contributes to this cause. Coming towards the ground floor planning, the two wings are the emergency wing and the OP wing. When we look into the emergency wing, there are two entrances. The first one for the accidental and critical cases. The second is for the fever clinics for viral diseased children. And moved for isolations and observations, which are negative pressure rooms if the disease is communicable. They are moved to the isolation block as per the conditions. The accidental cases moves to triage and gets treatment as per the level of criticality. The bed lifts connecting the operation theatres, ICUs, etc. are being zoned towards this area. The dumbwaiters and the service lobbies and stairs are connected with the operation theatres, the ICU collection areas, and moves to the CSST in the basement where dirty and clean utilities are stored. The radiology area separates the emergency and OP and serves both the users in the emergency and OP area. The main entrance to the hospital is divided as two. One is the outpatient entrance and the inpatient or the staff entry. Through the OP entry enters the patients who are led to the testing chambers after checking the temperatures. The decision to move in or out is taken here. The positive patients moves out to the ambulance porch or exit from the building. The others move to the lobby from where they are directed to the OP clinics. The OP clinics have the neighborhood modules controlled by consultant doctors. The patient and the parents move to the waiting areas inside the module, separating them from the outside movement. The parents could easily control their children within the module, which provides small play area. The play areas of the attached modules are visually linked with self-cleaning glass partitions. After consultation, the whole procedures are done within the care areas looked after by the nurses, and the users exits the modules after completing all the procedures. Thus the movement will simply be from entry, the testing area, the main lobby, the modules, and moves to the building's exits. The blue areas are the staff areas and the grey corridors are staff corridors. The attachment of modules are made such that the outside users moves through the outside of the core. The grey and staff corridors connects the service area of the modules, creating separate movement and easy management of activities. The staff areas are zoned towards this direction from where all different activities are zoned with equal proximities. Service lobbies, service lifts are connected to the staff areas on all floors, all zoned towards this same direction. Now, what happens during a pandemic surge? While the modules had waiting spaces which could change the spatial requirements by moving the partition walls during the normal times, when surge increases, when there are minimum visitors and OP consultations, these waiting spaces of modules could change to care area for increasing the bed capacity. During the time, the area of care rooms doubles than during normal times. The electrical lines are taken through the traverse lines on ceiling. The image shows the traverse lines in Sprint COVID Isolation Center, which have been built just in a few days. The entrances during the surge time could be made from the openings used as exits during the normal times. Thus the hospital acts flexibly, which is surge ready and also rearranged back towards the normal conditions depending on the conditions. The IP wing or the main hospital lobby is entered by the staffs and regular patients, that is, the patients for dialysis and regular checkups. The IP exits are also from here. The wing has the principal doctor areas and the administrative areas. The large double height, the lobby adjoined with outdoor courtyards, the green spaces adjoining the sides of patient corridors, the colored pillars etc. makes the spaces lively and creates healing spaces. The basement floors have the staff areas, the CSST and the labs and the canteens. The CSST and labs are separated by sterile corridors. The canteen is zoned to place where ventilation is possible and service vehicles could easily come in. The pump rooms, fire rooms and gas plants are placed at the second basement. The first floor has the OP clinics for regular patients and neonatal babies and vaccination rooms. Even during surge times, the babies could be brought to the hospital without any contact with the deceased patients. The scanning areas are zoned towards this area above the radiology unit, allowing easy interactions and workflow. The second floor area have the four-bedded wards and the semi-private rooms with two beds. The area between the treatment facade and the wall is filled with vegetation, creating a geometrical view to the green lands through the landscapes, contributing to the special topic. The rooms are zoned to areas where views are not obstructed. The room wings are connected by the staff areas in the middle. The third and fourth floor have the single rooms and VIP rooms. The VIP rooms are attached with lounges and two bedrooms for patients and the family. Operation theatres are zoned to the top floor. The area is designed with sterile corridors, the doctor or staff areas, the post and pre-operative areas. The dumb waiter provided here takes the equipment straight to the CSSD at the basement.